Hello, I'm Edith Bowman.
And I'm Michelle Collins.
And a very warm welcome to On the Box, the podcast where we celebrate the latest releases and most loved shows on BritBox and beyond.
And this week, we are going to be joined by the legendary David Morrissey. Now, he's fresh off of starring in the phenomenal Tiptoe by Russell T Davies.
And listen, he's here to talk to us today about all the amazing shows that he's been in, but I really particularly want to talk to him about his brand new show. It's called Gone. So good.
It's so good. And now, Edith, I know you binged it, and I have to say I'm a little bit jealous because I was so afraid to binge it because they were like, do not spoil this show. And you know what a big mouth I am. So I watched half of it and it's incredible. And also, I'll just say, like, as an American, I'm always fascinated by the English schooling system because it is so different. I mean, we have in the US private schools, which in England they call them public schools. So it's a bit confusing, I think, if you don't know that. But our private schools, which can cost a ton of money, and certainly it's the elite and they go to all the Ivy League schools, et cetera. But for some reason, it just strikes me as different when it comes to, I guess, the historical lore that so many English, quote unquote, public schools have.
Yeah, I mean, it's so associated with class here and power, really. I guess as well, the big thing is like the boarding schools. You know, those are the kind of big ones. But you do get kind of private schools that are day schools so that kids are kind of coming home at night. So it's almost like a halfway between a kind of what we call state school and private school. But yeah, it's amazing the stories that it can throw up, the history that's associated there. I've got two random facts for you, weirdly. So my kids go to a day school in Gloucester, and they're associated with Gloucester Cathedral, and the school's like hundreds of years old, and it's got two amazing connections with America, right? Oh. Two previous pupils of the kings in Gloucester, one of which went on to be the governor of a state in the US and signed the Declaration of Independence.
Wow.
And another one of them, previous alumni is their correct official title, was one of the people who wrote the Star Spangled Banner.
Francis Scott Key or another person I don't know?
I don't know their names.
Francis was the main bloke, if you will. Like we were raised knowing about Francis Scott Key. Now, if there's another guy kind of like, you know, not Neil Armstrong, but the other guy who was on the moon, and we're like, oh, then the other guy, but you know, if you follow what I mean, I would be very upset if I were the other person. So hopefully it's Francis, but that's exciting.
John Stafford Smith, who wrote the melody for the American national anthem.
You know, shameful that we don't learn about him, may I just say.
There you go.
I'm offended on his behalf. But that's wonderful to know. My high school, outside of, I think, me being one of the most famous alums, and yes, I know how that sounds, and it is dark. I agree. But we had one of our most famous alums was the person who ate a man's face off many years ago. So we're coming from different walks of life. But I think that it's fine. You know, that's what makes Miami a beautiful place. And I'm proud to be from there.
Anthony Hopkins in
no, literally, that
Silence of the Lambs.
One of the worst stories to ever hit the news. And then they were like, and he went to North Miami Beach Senior High School. Shout out, fellow Chargers listening. I'm sure there are many of you. But yeah, that's my high school. That's American public school for you, you know. But I'm a proud public school graduate. No shame in that.
You should be writing a screenplay about that for sure.
I know. God. Anyway,
how's your week been?
Edith, can I be honest? I have had a nonstop couple of weeks, and to the point where, do you ever have this happen? I'm sure you do, where you're so busy and you're like riding high and everything's great. And then all of a sudden when it becomes quiet, you're like in a mild depression because you're like, wait, what happened to all the crazy stuff I was doing?
Yeah, I'm not good at sitting still.
Me neither. So it's been very hard for me, like post this week. But last week I was in London. I went to Wimbledon.
I saw. I was very jealous.
I wish, you know what? I wish you would come. The first day I went with a friend, and then I only got one ticket the second day. But next year, let's be in touch, because if I get 2 tickets, you're coming with.
Yeah, let's work on it now to be like invited to one of those like swanky boxes where you get like free water.
I can't even imagine. Free water. What? Do you know how much money it cost me there? By the way, I went as a peasant, expensive. Obviously. It's so expensive. But I'm shocked that you're not invited, because they bring, I mean, this is not a dig on you, believe me.
Yeah,
but
everyone.
Everyone. So where are you? Where the hell are you?
I'm way down on that -Z list. You know, like up in the kind of gods in the theater where it's like, you kind of like, you can see like the top of someone's head.
No, let me say that there's no bad seat in Wimbledon. I'm sure you've been before, but it is just It's so, it makes me cosplay as an English person, which, as you know, is my great dream. So I think that's why I love it so much.
Do you get as excited about any American tennis competitions, or has Wimbledon got like a kind of special thing about it?
Wimbledon for sure is special. Now, I do love the U.S. Open. I have been lucky enough to go a couple times. I'd say that the U.S. Open does food and drink better than Wimbledon, which shouldn't shock anybody because England. But the actual tennis play, if you're not a super wealthy person, is very difficult to enjoy at the U.S. Open because it's very expensive. And Arthur Ashe Stadium, which is our center court, is so massive that you'll be like, oh, I got into, Arthur Ashe. And then you're essentially in like on Starlink, like watching it from a satellite, like you can't see anything. Whereas in Wimbledon, there's no bad seat. Literally, you can see every, so it was an amazing experience. So that happened. Then it was my birthday last week. So that was exciting. And then thank you. Don't even say it.
Happy birthday.
I'm too old, but I just love you so much. Thank you.
It's only Earth years.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. And
Just a number.
it's crazy that once I hit this number, I feel like in the week after my birthday, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, oh, I see. It's like in 1 week. You're the best. You're my best friend. You're my number one best friend. And then I saw Pitbull Wednesday, which I also wish you had been there.
Me and not so sure.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I saw you posting about this, I was like, Michelle's watching Pitbull. How the hell? I mean, I would not have put you down as a Pitbull fan, or in fact to be so like buzzing about it afterwards as well. My friend Greg James, who's on the radio here in the UK, is a massive Pitbull fan.
Yeah,
so much so that he went to a concert recently, or part of his whole thing he did was he tried to break a Guinness World Record of having the most people wearing skull caps at a Pitbull concert. And I think he managed to achieve it and stuff. Where did your love of Pitbull come from?
Let me say, funny enough, that was just last week in Hyde Park that he broke the Guinness Book of World Records. I didn't know it was happening until afterwards. And just by some random, I ran into someone I knew. Somehow I ended up in this dinner with Pitbull's agent. And so the thing is this, I am a born and bred Miamian. I was born in Mount Sinai Hospital. Again, I went to NMB High School. It is in my blood. When you're from Miami, you are a little bit different than your typical American. It gives a flavor that you just can't help. And Pitbull is like the definition of the only good things about Miami. He is a hard worker. He smells fantastic. I think I interviewed him when he may have come on The View.
Are you dating Pitbull?
I can't curse on this show. I blanking wish. And by the way, don't think I didn't look him up. Single, as far as I know. 6 kids. Not too late for number 7. He's got about 2 months left, Edith, because you know how old I am. But no, I really love him. And so the opportunity came up to see him. And I said, how can I say no to my brethren from Miami? I know brethren isn't the right word to use, but he's family for me, And my friend and I drove out. He was actually close to the German border. It was not in Amsterdam. That we walked in, the place was about 10,000 degrees, packed full of people. And you say you don't, I'm telling you, had you been there, you would have understood it. It was so hot in there. He had his little jackets on, like a little ventriloquist dummy. And he did not stop performing and giving it 1,000% the entire night. He is just everything that's right about the music industry. And I love him. I hope nothing bad comes out about him after I'm like raving about him. But I really, really adore him.
Okay, I'm going to go and stick some Pitbull on after we finish the show today.
You're welcome. By the way, when you're in a good mood, remember this, because that's going to be why every song is famous, Edith.
Okay, I'm on it. I'm going, okay? I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give him a go.
At you. It's our first fight, I think, in all these episodes that we've done.
You will like Pitbull.
No, do you not like any popular music? Because I know you're obviously very steeped in music. Yeah.
I love great pop music. I love, and I recently covered the Isle of Wight Festival and stuff, and that lineup is just so bonkers. Where you look at it, you go, really? And they had like Rick Astley there, who was fantastic,
wow.
and then Lewis Capaldi, and it's just and Five. Do you remember the boy band Five? Were they ever big in the States?
Never, no.
If you're getting down, honey, I want it now. They're like, I mean, it's like kind of NSYNC-y vibes. But they were this, when I was doing MTV, they were like big. And I weirdly remembered them coming on to announce their split when I was doing Select on MTV. And so like 20 years later, they've reformed. And it was really sweet because they're having a moment now, which is basically, they said like how they should have had it in terms of they've grown up. They've kind of reformed, they've kind of rekindled friendships, they've dealt with all the issues that they had. And they absolutely smashed it on the main stage at this festival. And it was just a beautiful moment of pop in the sunshine. It was just amazing. So yeah, no, I totally appreciate pop. It's just not what I would choose to listen to at home, but if it's on the radio, then I'll sing along in the car and all that. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
now listen, I'm not, I like Pitbull. I didn't line up for the ticket. I love him. I genuinely was, let's put it this way. I spent like $60 on a t-shirt that I will wear only to bed. There was a part of me after the show that almost thought they had this really funny Pitbull basketball jersey that was obviously not my style whatsoever, but I was like, this is the funniest thing to own in history. And then it was like $100. And I said, I know I didn't pay for these tickets, but that's just not happening. So got a t-shirt, which I'll cherish. But yeah, wait, what's with you? And I'm sad because this is our last episode of the season.
I know.
Edith, so what's new with you? What's your summer looking like? What's the latest?
Summer's kind of, the kids have just finished school. So it's a bit of a kind of, it's that kind of weird thing where trying to fill their time and drive them places as well as work and have a little holiday, visit family and stuff. I love it. I love it. The weather in the UK at the minute is just absolutely beautiful. It's like, it almost reminds me of being a kid, and that when I lived out in Scotland, grew up in a little fishing village, and we would just leave the house in the morning with a lilo and we'd come back at dinner time. Do you know what I mean? Go and swim in the sea and stuff. So it feels like that kind of opportunity for a summer. So yeah, I'm just going to try and kind of get my balance right of work and being home with the kids and having a nice time really. And then, yeah, no kind of really big plans, really. Little trip to Mexico in August.
Oh, wow. We're in Mexico.
Well, my husband's going to be out there with his band doing some promo and stuff in Mexico City. So we're going to go to Mexico City for 4 days and then out to the Pacific coast for a week.
I have to send you. It's so funny.
Please.
I just saved, because I was in Mexico City back in May.
Yeah.
And I just saved a video of these restaurants that I was like, how could I not have gone to these places? I'm going to forward it to you.
Please do.
The food is obviously delicious. Be a little careful, only because I'm not going to lie. Did I come home and then expeditiously lose 10 pounds? Yes. But you know what? I do it again in a minute. The nicest people there, the most beautiful stores and restaurants. It's just the energy in that city is 10 out of 10 great.
Oh, I can't wait. I would really appreciate all that insight. It'd be amazing.
I'm jealous. I want to go with you to Mexico City. It's going to be fun.
Come, I'll tell you when we're going and get a spare bed set up in the room.
Can you imagine? I'll be the nanny. I'm just like, these kids are driving me nuts. I'm like the worst nanny in history. You're like,
where do we be taking you out? That's the thing. Not taking you out as in like, like rugby tackling you, but like, let's go party.
Going out.
Let's go party. Let's go watch Pitbull in Mexico.
Oh. If Pitbull's in Mexico, I swear to God, I'm supposed to go to Italy. I'm canceling it. We're going to Mexico. I'm willing to get the bug again. I don't care. Yes.
Well, listen, shall we save our kind of like, not get too emotional about it being the last show of this season and get on to our guest, actually, who I'm so excited to welcome to the show. He's one of those actors who he's thrown his weight to so many great roles and so many great shows, and not that we take him for granted, but I just think he's awesome. He's done so many great things. So it's an absolute pleasure to welcome on the box our very special guest, Mr. David Morrissey. David, it's such a treat to welcome you onto the show, and the idea that we could circumnavigate your entire career within the time that we've got is impossible. But I want to start on Gone, which I've watched the entire season. It's so good. Congratulations. You must be proud of this show.
Yeah, very much so. I'd worked with George Kay before. We'd done a show about the Yorkshire Ripper called The Long Shadow. And I've been a big fan of his work. So during that time, him and I were talking about working together again. And yeah, Gone came out of that, really. We were both interested in exploring sort of bad victims, really. People who, as far as the public and the media are concerned, don't portray victimhood the way that we want them to, the way that people are expecting people to behave, which is probably the fault of lots of other television dramas, really. And George came up with this character, which, I really responded to in the sense that he was someone who was so locked in emotionally that cast suspicion on him. And I love that. I thought that was great.
I have to say, I watched some of the show and I didn't want to spoil it because I know that I have a big mouth and then I would come here and end up spoiling it here. But so I was like, I'm going to be a good employee and not do that. But you are so serious in this, and it's impossible to watch it and just not think that you are riddled with guilt. But so from
but is he, Michelle?
I mean, you're a great actor, obviously, but yeah, is that hard? Even if you're not guilt, like you're just so serious in it, David. What makes you laugh?
Oh well, I do another show called Daddy Issues with Aimee Lou Wood, which is a comedy, and I've done things like Inside Number 9. So yeah, I mean, I do tend to get. I mean, I'm 6'3". I'm from the north, so I do tend to get some like brooding characters, really. But what was interesting about this for me was, he's the headmaster of a public school, and I didn't go to a public school. It's not somewhere I know. So I went and found, I went to rugby school, and I went to Merchant Taylor School in Liverpool, which is a private school. And I did my research in that, and it was interesting finding those men, people who were working in the public school system, but they come themselves from the state school system. And but they'd sort of reinvented themselves, which I felt that this man had a bit, So you have to go and find those guys. But also it's always in the writing. I think what George does so well is he does write this stoical, sort of unfeeling man, or potentially, sort of for us as the audience, he looks like he's an unfeeling man. But every now and again, he'll give you little insights to him. I think the big things for me was whenever my character was on his own and the audience were observing him in a way that the other characters didn't. There's a bit in episode 2 when he actually breaks down, and the policewoman does observe that, and he's devastated that she's observed it. So it's those private moments where he's sort of, they set off questions for the audience as well, but you're getting an insight into him that the other characters aren't. But yeah, I'm going to be doing Daddy Issues again, season 3. Well, I'm looking forward to doing some comedy.
We need
you mentioned Annie Cassidy, the character played by the brilliant Eve Miles, and that's also a really interesting part of the show, I think, as well, is that she's got her own issues and story kind of going on, but it's how the two stories kind of almost kind of intertwine at moments, and they're both learning things from each other, from what their history, their current. It's so kind of intricate and interesting.
And their assumptions, I think that's also true of the audience as well, as you make massive assumptions about people when you meet them. And she makes massive assumptions about him even before she meets him. She knows his job, she knows the school, she considers it this privileged, rarefied sort of place. She doesn't necessarily agree with the private education system. So she's already going in there with her prejudices. And at first he upholds those prejudices. He acts in the way that she believes he would act. And then she slowly starts to see him as the audience do. And that is not the norm. He's acting in a weird, strange way, almost a vulnerable way. And she's not used to that. So those things that attract her in a investigative way. And I think that's really great. And also what's really wonderful about it is, and Eve is so brilliant, is there's 3 real men in her life in this story. One is me, which she has real assumptions about. One is her boss, who is really awful to her and is not recognizing how brilliant she is and keeping her in her place. And the other one is her ex-boyfriend, who is coercive and aggressive and, very sort of controlling of her. And so she's having to deal, like so many women in the workplace and beyond, with managing these male egos throughout her life. And we see her negotiating that and sometimes being in very dangerous and vulnerable positions, both professionally and personally.
And I just want to make it clear for our American listeners, because it is flipped in the U.S., where public schools, where we are like the free, not to brag, I went to American public school, which means I was not rich, but, and still am not. Let me just get that phrasing in check. But there is such an interesting culture in England, when it comes to your class system and also the schooling. And you touched on it a bit before, but it's I'm wondering how much of that is real. Like how much of what we see on TV when it reflects these education upper level education, it's so self-serious, as we mentioned, and it's very judgmental, it feels. It's kind of like you cannot crack that if you are not born into wealth. You are not welcome into that world.
Yes, we've always had it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's always the class is, I would say, the biggest thing about British society.
Mm.
Even though we managed to break through that glass ceiling, it's still there, and you still see it in our political system and in our media and all over the place. I mean, there's something staggering. Like there's James Graham, who wrote Sherwood. He did the MacTaggart lecture, TV lecture a couple of years ago, and he came up with the figure that something like 8% of British people working in media and television, only 8% of them went to state school system.
Wow.
So, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And, that's always been the case. And it is, sometimes it's an inside job. Like for me, it's an inside job. I went to a state school. I left school when I was 16. I didn't get any qualifications. And the voice inside my head, I didn't go to university, I didn't go to Oxbridge. The voice inside my head can very often tell me that I'm not good enough, and did for
Yeah.
years. And it can tell me that those people, because they speak different from me, or they had a different age, that they're better than me, or they're more informed than me. And I can suddenly get very insecure about myself and my qualifications, even today still, when I'm in those situations. And that's years and years of slight oppression, but also of myself accepting something about it. I can feel very vulnerable in places where, for want of a better term, you talk about posh, but, well-educated, posh, connected people. And I've always felt insecure around that. And so that's what was interesting for me playing this person, that he wasn't that. He was very secure in his job, but completely all over the place in his personal life. And that I can really identify with that, as I think whatever your gender or class, the fact that there are times in my life when I have sacrificed my personal life for my professional life,
Yeah.
that I have worked hours when I didn't really need to work hours, because there is something about, all three of us can identify with this. There's something about our profession that is vocational. It is, and it's piecemeal, and it's hand to mouth, and it's connections, and it's
I can't say no. All that kind of
I
stuff.
can't say no. And if I
Yeah.
say no, I'll never work again. And
Yeah.
I can't, if you, make hay while the sun shines. And, sometimes very, very big personal things have passed me by because of that. Sometimes my children's birthdays or relationships and things like that. And sometimes, funerals that you can't get to and things. I have sacrificed, as I'm sure all three of us have, because of our profession. So I identified with that part of that man very much, that he got lost inside his profession and sacrificed his personal relationships because of.
Yeah, the fact that you were part of this, the discussions in this show and this character and setting it in that part of the world, the easy thing would be to kind of have it in a well-known location of a well-known, private school. And I love the fact that it was in this kind of beautiful part of the country that a lot of people outside the UK will never have seen on screen before as well.
Yeah. Bristol is becoming, and the West Country is becoming quite a hub for filming. It's interesting for me because the regional filming is happening more and more because London is so expensive to film it. But places like
Yeah.
Bristol have really capitalized on that. There's a place called the Bottle Yard, which is, it used to be an old factory, but they've made it into a really state-of-the-art sort of studio now. It's where Rivals is shooting and stuff like that. So as a location, the region is really on the up, really, and that's because of the crews and the studios and the facilities there as well, and also the location itself. It's such a beautiful location, but also has such diversity in it. And I'm often filming in Liverpool and Manchester because the Northwest has that as well. The Northwest Film Office has a brilliant sort of organization which brings films from all over the world, films and television from all over the world up there. So certain regions are really clocking into that, and Bristol is one of them. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about the plot, because I don't know if we've made it clear that the show is about you as this headmaster, and your wife goes missing and you kind of become the prime suspect in it. And it was based on, or I guess inspired by, a book called To Hunt a Killer, which was written by
Yes.
Julie McKay and Robert Murphy. When you get a script like this, how deep into the research are you going? I mean, I assume you read the book, or do you just like base it off the script? How did you kind of walk into this role?
Well, yeah, you read the book, but then for me, that particular case, is running alongside my story. So that's something else that Eve is tapping into, and I think they're going to pursue that case in a second
Ooh.
series. They're hoping to. Whereas my case is completely fictional, and George has come up with that. But Eve and Julia worked very closely together in terms of what's it like for a woman in that environment. What's it like to have a case that people just want to put in a drawer and make it a cold case, but you are determined as an officer that you're going to pursue it. The sort of internal politics of that is very important. Was very important to Eve, and Julie was around a lot, so that was great. In terms of the mechanics of being a policewoman in that environment. And my research was much more about the world that this man inhabits, which was an alien world to me. As I said before, I wasn't part of the public school system. It wasn't part of my life. So I had to go and find it. And it was, the places I went to, particularly rugby school, they were really wonderful. I mean, they welcomed me in. I spent a lot of time with them. I had a lot of questions about how a school works. And the big thing for me, which I hadn't really thought about, was when you're the headmaster of a public school, you're much more of a CEO. You're running a company.
It's a business.
You're not a teacher. You're not really doing your subject. You're there to fundraise. You're there to sort of put out fires. You're there to sort of be the poster boy for the brand. And and although it is a world of privilege, it's also a world that needs proper business handling. He has to take that seriously. And also, it's something where you have legacy. If you're in a public school that has, old boys from going back from the 1800s, lots of people are invested in that school, and you don't want to be the person who brings it down. So there's pressure on you all the time. And I found that, being at rugby and Merchant Taylors, listening to them about how they need to sort of organize themselves in a business capacity, that was really interesting.
With a lot of roles, I imagine you come away with like new life skills in a way, in terms of research and prep for roles. So off the back of this then, are you now in a full capable mode of coaching a rugby team?
I actually did get a tweet from Will Carling saying good coaching. So that was good. We did have Will Carling was the England rugby captain, by the way. But we did have a coach on set, and also all the boys, predominantly the boys in the rugby team, were from that school and played rugby. So they loved being involved in it. And so all the set pieces and the matches that we play, they organized that, they choreographed it from real maneuvers and stuff. And they were very helpful as well. So the sports master was really brilliant. But I don't think I'll be turning out for England anytime soon.
You never know.
My rugby days might be a little up behind me, I think.
Something I always bring this up with most of our guests if I see any hint of this in their bio, but it seems to me like you were very influenced by musicals growing up, and I am the resident musical expert here at On the Box.
Definitely.
You love Gene Kelly musicals. Are you still into musicals, and how is your singing voice? Because I think that is something the world needs, David. You on stage.
You know what? I would love it. My singing voice is not It's not bad, but it's not great. I love musicals. I mean, musicals for me, they're a bit like, when I go to the theatre and I'm watching a play, there's always a little bit of me that has a little bit of critique around myself going, oh, I don't think I'd do it like that. When I go and see musicals, I just totally relax. I just sit down and I let it happen, and I'm obsessed with it. A friend of mine, I'm sadly not going to be able to see her. She's in the musical Fun Home at the moment,
Oh yeah.
which I absolutely loved. And she's doing that up in Manchester. Jodie McNee, who was actually in Gone. She plays the other police officer, the Scouse police officer in Gone. And she's
Oh,
brilliant.
she's brilliant.
That's a wonderful musical. I saw that a couple of years ago down here in London. And yeah, I loved it. So yeah, I love musicals. And yes, Kelly was one of the big things for me because I also thought he was a great actor. I thought he was a brilliant dancer, and obviously, he could do all the singing and dancing. But also, I thought he was and it was important for me that he was a guy. He was very macho as well, and there was something about that didn't. As my young, confused self was sort of worried about watching musicals, and I thought, I can watch this because there's something very manly about him.
Yeah.
And
Real men watch musicals, in my opinion. I
and
feel like it's the greatest stamp of
That's a
masculinity.
t-shirt slogan,
Yes.
surely.
Well, I love it. I mean, I'm obsessed with them, really. I mean, it's just really. I'd love to do Mac and Mabel, which I sort of just think is so great. But yeah, there's loads. I watch it all the time, and I'm in the theatre at the moment. I'm doing
I know.
the Oresteia at
I
the
was about to
Bridge.
say thank you. You must be
love
shattered.
it.
Thank you for taking the
No,
time.
it's great. It's a very energy-giving show. But just in the theatre just before us was Into the Woods. And
I
it was
saw it, by the way.
It was
Fantastic.
just a fantastic production, and it's going to go into the West End as well. So that was something I saw recently, and I have 3 kids. My eldest son and I bond over football and sport in general. My daughter and I, it's art and literature. And my youngest son, it's music. And when my youngest son discovered Sondheim, it was one of the happiest days of my life. And, he's just obsessed with him and has read everything about him and seen everything. So, that I feel like my work here is done, really.
Good dad.
I've
I could
passed
see you
that
as
on.
Jean Valjean. I feel like
Oh,
you have.
God.
You're welcome, by the way. Big
I
compliment.
would love to. Let's get that out there, Michelle. Let's start a campaign.
I'm ready.
Let's manifest it
Yeah,
immediately.
once the show is done, I have a lot of time on my hands. So
Okay,
please
let's do
reach
that.
out. Yeah.
How's the show going?
It's great.
And what do you get? What do you get from that theatre sort of experience as opposed to working in other mediums?
Well, you get the immediate sort of response from that audience. It's a bit different with this show because it's a Simon Stone production of the Oresteia. It's a modern telling of that Greek story of family revenge and murderous revenge. It's myself and a wonderful actress called Mary Louise Parker, who is an American actress who's just phenomenal. And Tom Craig Clary and Rosie Sheehy, and it's just a wonderful cast. But it's long, we have 2 intervals, it's 3.5 hours, but the audience are loving it. I mean, it's a big. Russell T Davies came to see it. He was obviously a friend of mine, and he said it's like you will binge watch a season of your favorite show. And this is like binge watching the season of your favorite play in a theatre, and you just want more and more and more. And the 3.5 hours just fly by, and every scene you're like, I can't believe they're doing this. I can't. So he was really sort of up about it. So it's brilliant. But we're in a glass box. It all takes place in a glass house, and the audience watches, and we're inside the glass house. So we can't really see the audience. I can only really see myself, which I usually love, but this time it's a bit disconcerting. And we can't hear the audience either, so that's quite strange.
It's so funny. I was going to ask if they're like for a 3.5 hour long show. I was thinking the coughing, the candy wrappers, the phone ringing, like you're
don't hear any of that.
That's a genius.
We did have a fight in there the other night because it was the semi-final of the World Cup, and somebody apparently was watching the football on their phone, and the people behind complained, and it all kicked off. But so that was quite fun. But of course, I heard none of it because I was behind a glass wall. So
you could have been like, "What's the score?" halfway through. Yeah.
But the audiences are really loving it, and so are we. So come along. It's on till the 19th of September.
Oh, amazing. You mentioned Russell there, and be remiss of me to say congratulations on Tiptoe as well, and the response that show's had as
Yeah.
well. I mean, what just an amazing creative he is, and the shows and the characters that he writes. To be part of that must just be joyful.
Yeah, it's strange. I've worked with him before. About 10 years ago, I did a Christmas special of Doctor Who, myself and David Tennant. And we had such a ball. It was great. And I kept in touch with Russell. And then he got in touch with me about 18 months ago and said he wanted to do this show, which was really tough. I mean, it was really about where we are in terms of social media and the radicalization of people and the othering and the sort of prejudice that goes
Yeah,
on. About two neighbors, one played by Alan Cumming, who runs a gay bar in Manchester. The other neighbor is myself, who's an electrician who's down on his luck and slightly losing his way. His sons are growing up, and he feels very marginalized, and he gets all this affirmation for his prejudices online. He just goes online and he just builds and builds and builds this prejudice till he's taking it out on his neighbor, really. And it's very brutal, but I think very important piece of television. It's coming out in America on Stars in October.
Oh, wow.
And, I've known Alan Cumming for 40 years. We were neighbors, actually. So
no
yeah, which was
way.
really strange. Yeah, we lived opposite each other for years. So but it was great to do it with one of your best friends because, we have to go to very, very dark places during the performance.
Mm,
And that helped that there was a lot of love between us and we were able to
Mm.
sort of trust each other in what we did, really. But it's
yeah.
quite a brutal show.
I have a professional question, but before I ask, how are Alan's parties? Because I imagine being
Oh,
his
God.
neighbor, I'm like so jealous. I mean, oh my God.
His parties are amazing. Well, yeah, so he used to have those parties. But then when he first did Cabaret, um, he was on Broadway and I went to see him. And he said to me, so come to the dressing room afterwards because there's a bit of a party, And usually when actors say that, you get there and there's like a, warm glass of wine and sort of two people who you vaguely know from the telly. But Alan has this thing called Club Coming, which
Oh
is
yeah, I've
this.
performed. By the way, I've performed there. I'm a comedian and I've done many shows at Club Cumming. It's amazing.
But this was when
Yeah.
it was just in his dressing room. It was like this.
Wow.
It was like just in his dressing room on
Oh my
Broadway.
God.
It was absolutely packed. It was like a Marx Brothers film. You couldn't get into that place. And then he'd been performing this amazing show for the last 3 hours, and he's up on his dressing table singing with. And there was neon lights saying club coming on. And then it grew and grew and grew until his dressing room was listed as one of the 10 best venues to go to
Oh my God.
in New York. And then, like you say, Michelle, it became a proper venue then. It became
Yeah.
this massive cabaret place. So he runs that. So yeah, that was amazing. So yeah, so he does give the great part. I also went to a birthday party at his in the meatpacking district in New York before it sort of got gentrified.
Mm.
And I got in this elevator, which was huge, and it was just me and my partner at the time. And we were like, what the hell is going on? And as the elevator went up, you could just hear this noise. And the elevator opened, and it was literally like a Scorsese film. You just walked into these lights, and everywhere you looked was like these stars, these people.
Yeah.
You were like, oh my God, politicians, stars, dancers. It was just unbelievable. So, yeah, he gives good party, Alan. I love him. I adore him. He is one of my
Yeah.
favorite people, and I don't know how he does it. I mean, he never stops.
Yeah.
And more power to him, really.
No, his venue is
He can
amazing.
do everything as
Yeah.
well. That's the thing. It's like he can just like, oh, of course he can. It's just
Yeah.
he's
And
astounding.
he doesn't hide either. I think he uses his voice, I think, in such a wonderfully powerful way. And I love him for that. And he stands up there and he puts his money where his mouth is. And I love that about him.
Mm. No, his venue, I performed there during COVID when it was empty on camera. And it was literally like walking into, it's the tiniest little place, but when it's full, there is not an ounce of oxygen to spare in
It's
that place. It is
unbelievable.
like,
It's crazy.
it's amazing. It's like a bathhouse or something. It's really
It
a lot of
is,
fun.
yeah.
Not that I would know. Now, my question, my professional question for you is that you're from Liverpool, which is the north of England, and Liverpool has just created so many incredible actors. There's so much incredible talent coming out of that city. And I'm wondering what it is about Liverpool. Do you think it's something to do with the upbringing there? Or why are there so many great storytellers coming from that area?
I always feel very lucky that I grew up in Liverpool because, you know, as a young man, I thought, you know, I want to be a performer, I want to be an actor. And everyone I told that to took it seriously, or at least didn't take the mickey out of me.
Mm.
They take the arts seriously, whether you wanted to be an actor or an artist or a musician. It's a city that obviously we have the Beatles and all that. But even before that, the patronage of the arts in the city has always been paramount. Its architecture is amazing. You know, it has a wonderful art gallery. It had this wonderful public library that I used all the time in the city centre. So it was a cultural place, and I was aware of that. The reasons for that, I think, are manifold. I think it's always seen itself as a bit of a republic. You know, there's a great thing in England where people go to cities outside of London, like Birmingham, and say, you know, what do you feel is the second best city in Britain? And they'll say, oh, it's obviously Birmingham, or somebody say it's obviously Manchester. If you go to Liverpool, they say, oh, it's obviously
Glasgow.
Yeah, or Glasgow. But if you go to Liverpool, they say, what's the best city? The second best city. They'll always say, oh, it's London. Because they consider themselves to be the best city. And I do too. And it's to do with it being a port, a bit like Glasgow. I think Glasgow and Liverpool have very similar outlooks on the world. They see themselves, you know, sailors would come home with stories of the world, and you would see yourself as a part of the world. You know, I remember reading Joseph Conrad when I was a kid, and he talks about Liverpool seamen in there, and you talk about, you know, these sailors and stuff, and you're like, God, people knew who we were, and the city travelled, and also the Irish influence, which is musically very big, I think, and also it has, again, like Glasgow, it has this massive rivalry with another city right close to it, which is Manchester, and that can be. That predominantly for me was always a very friendly rivalry, but that can also tip over into unfriendly rivalry every now and again. But it sees itself as a republic. It sees itself as a single place. It's very proud of its people who have done well, but very proud of people in general. It's a good left-wing socialist city that looks after its people, I think.
You must be particularly proud then to be, which I know you can't talk about, but being part of this Sam Mendes project to celebrate those four individuals, very famous individuals who changed the course of music for the world.
Yeah, you're right. I can't say much about it, but they're doing I can say the press release, which is Sam is doing 4 films about the 4 Beatles, and I play Paul McCartney's dad in it. And I've done quite a bit. I've still got a bit to go. It is such a trip doing it. It's such being on those sets and seeing those actors perform is honestly, I pinch myself every time I'm on there. It's such amazing. And working, and also above and beyond the Liverpool thing, just working with Sam. I mean, he is one of the very best, and that's been a real privilege. And working with Paul Mescal, who, you know, is just amazing. Not only is he an amazing actor, but God, he's such a great guy. So
so nice, isn't
he's
he?
an amazing person. So yes, I feel very lucky, but I can't say
in the
anymore.
Shorts?
Oh, I can't wait.
How often are the
excited.
Mezcal shorts showing up? Because he's famous for walking around Islington in those little shorts, and I think it's cruel.
Slutty shorts,
very
I think
slutty
you call
little
them.
shorts,
Slutty
Edith.
shorts.
I have some of my own, actually, Michelle, but
David, I thought you'd never asked.
I'm going to keep those pictures to myself. You never get pictures of me around Islington with that. That's when the photographers put their cameras down.
That's how you get rid of the paparazzi. I think it's a genius move. And also, you were actually previously, you played the father to John Lennon in Nowhere Boy.
Not his father. I played his. I played his mum's sort
figure.
of husband, boyfriend. Yeah.
Okay,
And
close
so
enough.
that was with Aaron Taylor Johnson again, another great actor, another great guy. And but it was directed by Sam, and they got together. You know. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. God, I love a Hollywood romance. That's something about me. But yeah,
I know, and it was great, and also it was Kristen Scott Thomas and
love her,
Anne-Marie Duff, who I absolutely adore.
I must rewatch that. I haven't seen that
film.
It's
really
good. So good. I need to rewatch it. Yeah.
And the other great film that I love about the Beatles is
not Backbeat.
Backbeat.
Yes,
I love Backbeat. I think that's a great film.
Oh yeah, Ian Hart's so good in it. I don't know if you remember this, but another one of your musical prowesses involves the kazoo, David.
What? Did I play the kazoo once?
Yes, in those shorts.
We were part of a Guinness World Record 15 years ago.
I've still got the T-shirt.
We took part in a comic relief event at the Royal Albert Hall where we played, I think it was like, there was something like 4,000 people playing the kazoo to the Dam Busters March and Ride of the Valkyries. And we're in the Guinness Book of Records.
I do. I'm having flashbacks now. Yeah, I remember that was great. And it was somebody, it was Sue Perkins conducted the Eroica, I think, at that time as well. It was so brilliant. Yeah,
so
I remember.
random.
Very, very random. What you will do for comic relief is massive. Oh, good. Thanks for reminding me of that.
The last thing I ever thought I'd hear on the show is that you play the kazoo at Royal Albert Hall. I'm just like, what reality? It's hot where I am. Maybe I need to turn the air conditioning on. Yeah.
Harder to play than you might think, actually.
There's a skill.
It's very saliva forward, the kazoo. You need to really get your whistle
my
planted.
Yeah. Yes. I practice my circular breathing for that one. Yeah.
That's beautiful. David, you have this play going on. When do you take a break? Where do you vacation? What is the downtime for you? Because so far I'm seeing nothing but work and I worry about you. So when's the break coming?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
I'm not great at breaks. I'm not. I mean, I'm a bit lastminute.com in terms of that. I don't plan a lot. I've learned through my life that as soon as I plan, it'll go wrong. And I'll have to cancel or whatever. So I very much do the last minute thing. And when I get a break in between stuff, I'll look for a hotel somewhere and just get out of London. But usually, I do like to work to my detriment, really. I quite like work. I have an odd relationship with it sometimes in the sense that I have to be careful that it's not where I get the value of myself via work. So, yeah, I do need to take time off, but it's not my natural place, really.
Interesting.
Not before you film the next season of Daddy Issues.
Daddy Issues is right after the play, so I'm looking forward to that.
Is it?
Yeah, because Amy's in the, I'm not giving anything away. She's in the Beatles film as well, so she finishes around about the same time I finish on the play, so then we can just go straight into Daddy Issues. Yeah, so looking forward to that.
You two are so great.
Yeah,
you're so great
she's
together.
She's wonderful. She's so great. Have you met her?
Yeah, she's
so brilliant.
There's no difference really.
No.
I mean, I know she plays characters and what she does, but you get the essence of her as a human, I think, in so much of what she plays. And she's just this ball of kind of beautiful energy and
she's very
enthusiasm.
present as well. That's what I love about her. When you meet her, she's with you. She's very, in the room in front of you. She doesn't feel distracted by other things or what's going on. She's like right with you and you're engaging with her, and that's brilliant. And obviously as an actress, it's fantastic.
I've never met her and I'm jealous. Okay, because I love her. I mean, as an American, we really only got to know her through White Lotus.
Yes,
and
of
so
course. Yeah.
That was like the breakthrough for her. And
she's coming at you, Michelle. She's coming at you.
I hope so. I really hope so. She's fantastic. Okay, so no vacations, plays, work. I'm just trying to get to know you as a person.
Okay.
Any pets? Any dogs, cats, or no
well,
animals?
my dog passed away recently, which was
I'm
really
so sorry.
sad. No.
Forgive me.
No, he was very old.
Oh.
And it was really, really tough.
Oh, my God. I love doggies. What kind of dog was he?
He was a rescue dog.
Oh.
And he was 15. And, he'd been great, really great. And sort of, then just in the last 6 months, he just went really, and it was really sad to see.
Sorry.
But yeah, so I'm in that stage now where I'm thinking, should I? There's two people in the cast have got dogs, and they bring them in and they sit in their dressing room and stuff, and I'm like, am I in that place when I need to sort of, yeah, I need to, because I shared my ex-wife and I shared my dog, because we got the dog together and then split up. But we're neighbors. We lived next door to each other, so we shared our dog, which was great. And 3 kids, by the way. But the dog came first.
Sort the dog out first.
Yeah.
So, but I would need, I think just given the way I work, I would need a way of, being able to look after him if I ever left the country or things like that. But
my gosh. Well, leave it to me to bring the mood down. I'm like, we're all laughing. I'm like, tell me about dogs.
It's happy, and it's very, very happy memories of him, Billy. He was such a part of the family and gave us such great times. So no,
I think you should get another one. It's the best way to heal, honestly. Once you lose a pet, it's like they say, some people say, oh, I can never replace, and you're not replacing, but it's such a beautiful part of being alive. It's having an animal. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I just need to get the right one. His temperament was so perfect for me. So yeah, it's that type of thing, really.
Well, let's cheer you up a bit by talking about something that you'd like to bring back. Not your dog, unfortunately, but
Edith.
a TV show.
I'll kill her.
I want to talk about, we have this thing on the show where we just ask our guests about something they loved so much that they'd love to see it back on screen, whether it's a one-off or a Christmas special, but your favourite British show.
Yeah.
Do you have one that you'd love to see back on screen?
I have lots, actually. I mean, some of them have already been made again, things like Porridge and Cold It's, those things. I mean, when I was a kid, television was, it was on all the time. It was like my best friend, really. I used to sit there and my mum and dad would just plonk me in front of it and that was it. And I'd watch anything, even, Open University and stuff. But I think, the thing I really loved, and even more so as I've got older in terms of the ethos around its commissioning, was Play for Today. Was that, every week there would be a different singular story that you would watch. And sometimes they'd be not very good. But every now and again you think, God, this is perfect. It's like this really strange insight into a world that you wouldn't see. And they weren't movies. They were an hour long. They were really sort of self-contained. They didn't have a massive budget, but really great writers and great directors and actors came from that place. And I felt that there was something, you were taking a risk inside there really creatively. And that was a good thing. I think now in our multi-channel universe, it's a more difficult thing to take that risk, but I really loved Play for Today. It was a very much, for me, it was a date I always had to keep, And also I would say musically, the Old Grey Whistle Test, because there was something about those shows, there was The Tube, there was Top of the Pops and stuff. I don't feel there's a musical show like that on the telly anymore, where you get bands playing live and then you're getting them being interviewed, someone like Bob Harris or whatever, who's really getting you insight. I don't see that on the telly anymore, and certainly not on terrestrial, but you see the docs and stuff. I'd love to see that happening. Jules does it a little bit on his show, but, Old Grey Whistle Test I thought was brilliant. It was like Top of the Pops for grown-ups, but I really, really loved it. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I agree.
Those are such good choices.
It's hard to find new music these days. Like it's, to discover new music, you really have to consciously go out and discover it versus just like flipping the TV on and hearing something.
But that's okay. I mean, for me, it's also that thing of, I do go to, it's that thing of hearing about, there's a great guy called Tack Baker. Do you know him, Edith? And I loved him. And someone was telling me about him the other day, and I think he's playing some gigs come up. So I do think, given where we are in our multimedia stuff and AI and all that, the live event is suddenly coming to the fore. And bands really have to be able to play live for any other reason, just to make a bloody living, because, that's how.
It's the only way they make
Because,
money. Being married to a musician, I can completely vouch for that.
They have to do it. So, you go to gigs now, people can really play, and it's brilliant, and also theatre, and I think stand-up is that. I think the live event is where people will they've always wanted that. And I think they're now in this multimedia universe, that they want to sort of go back to that in some way. That's why sport is so massive.
Yeah.
But I feel theatre, music, gigs, things like that, I think people are more and more seeking those things out.
I've got a recommendation for you. West Side Cowboy are a band you should check out. They're from Manchester. They were on tour supporting Geese, they were just... I saw them in Bristol, actually, and they were unbelievable. So there's my little Bob Harris musical tip.
All right, I'm writing it down.
And I'll say, I'm in Amsterdam now, and I just saw Pitbull perform on Wednesday night. This unheard of musician, and he brought the house down.
Yeah, no, I've not seen him live, but yeah.
Well, every song is famous, basically, and all he does is talk in them. And then he's sweating. It had to be 10,000 degrees. He had a little jacket on. I'm obsessed. Anyway, those are my niche recommendation is Pitbull.
Brilliant. All right, great. Well, we've got that.
Thank you so much for your time, David.
My pleasure.
We really, particularly in the middle of a run in the theatre, I really appreciate you taking, a time out to chat to us. And huge congratulations with going, and so much to look forward to as well on the way.
Thanks very much. It's lovely to speak to you. See you soon.
Thank you, David. Bye.
Bye.
David Morrissey, what an absolute legend. So nice, wasn't he?
I felt like he was my headmaster. I'm like, wait, am I on the rugby team? Like, he was so professional. Professional and funny. And I always love when we have a guest on who starts a bit serious, and then I'm like, no, let's crack that. And I knew he was going to be a laugh, and he really was.
I had a little cry for his dog, though. I was like, oh no.
I mean, leave it to me. By the way, this is my gift, really. Like, it wasn't on our script. It wasn't anywhere mentioned anything about
no one
pets.
knew.
I've never asked our other guests about their pets. Literally one time this entire season. Leave it to me to go, do you have any dogs?
Yes, he died.
Like, why did I ask him that? Oh my God. But it's nice to remember our beautiful pets in life, because
he seemed grateful to be able to reminisce about his lovely dog. So yeah.
One of the great heartbreaks, losing a pet. But David, thank you for No, it really is. Thank you for opening up about that, and also about this incredible show, Gone, which I now can finally binge the rest of it because I'm not going to spoil it.
It's going to be on BritBox from the 23rd of July. New episodes come out every week. But listen, before we sign off for the summer, because this is the final episode of season 1 of On the Box, Michelle, what are you going to be, anything particular going to be watching over the summer? Plays, musicals, TV shows, films, more Pitbull? What's it going to be?
Well, how dare you bring him up? Well, despite my obvious highbrow tendencies here, I hate to tell you that one of my great summer pleasures is watching Big Brother US. And, I often say that I'm not woman enough for Love Island, that it's too many episodes, this and that. For some reason, Big Brother is like the one show where I throw it all to the wind. I commit to 3 episodes a week, which to me is just enough. Like, more than that, I can't do. But 3 a week, it's a lot. But you know what? It's a great show. The season's really good so far. They brought back people from past seasons, from Survivor. So I watch that show. I don't know what it is about Big Brother, but...
Would you do it?
No chance in H. Again, I don't want to curse here, but no, there's no... Let me tell you now, like, even when we turned the camera on for this show, I'm like picking my shirt. I'm like making sure the hair is okay. Like, I think I'm not just too vain. I just wouldn't want to be seen with like a face mask on and my underwear on national television. For me. Would you ever do it, Edith?
No. I've been asked to do a couple of reality shows, and I've turned it down.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a celebrity?
No, I got asked to do that. I got asked to do Strictly a couple of times as well, and said no. It's just
Can I just push back on that a little bit, because I agree with you. The idea of doing, let's say in the U.S., Dancing with the Stars seems like scary. But I had a friend go on the Irish version, and I went to a taping. My friend Garode Farrelly, hilarious comedian.
Yeah.
And it was one of the greatest thrills of my life sitting in that audience. And it totally shifted my thinking on doing a show like that. And I actually think that, especially you, because you're so petite, and I know you're fast on your feet, she's making a face, but she's very, you're the DeVito to my Schwarzenegger, Edith. Like, we can both admit. I just think you would be fantastic on a show like that. I think you would love it.
Bless you. Never happening.
Okay.
Two things I'm going to be watching. I'm really, I mean, Christmas can't come quick enough. A big Christmas girl, but for the Other Bennett Sisters special that I'm so excited about. I really want to rewatch the show actually ahead of that, so I'm definitely going to rewatch that. And then just on that tip that David was saying about all the amazing talent that Liverpool throws out. Big fan of Jodie Comer, and she's got a new film coming out called The Death of Robin Hood, where she stars with Hugh Jackman, and I cannot wait to see that in the cinemas. I think it's coming out in September, so that's one of the things that's on my list to look out for. So I cannot wait. Sorry, I should have said Tobbs. I know we've got to refer to Tobbs from now on. So yeah, I'm rewatching Tobbs ahead of the Christmas special.
I gotta say, I prefer the Other Bennett sister, but I don't know, people. I'm old school. You say Tobbs, and I'm like, is that a new candy bar? Like, am I getting? Are they sending me a press package? Like, what is Tobbs? Yeah. You know, I get so much Tobbs content now on my phone, and I just saw this incredible video talking about why one of the reasons it's such a great show is because she never got a makeover, and I was like, you know, I never even thought about that, but they like just let her stay herself through the entire season, and it's like, yeah, that's actually really refreshing. So I love that show.
Michelle, I just want to say it's been an absolute treasure having this opportunity to spend time with you every week on this show on season 1 of On the Box, and I really hope we get to do more of it. But we're bowing out for the summer to give you guys a break. But that doesn't mean to say you can't continue to watch all the great shows on the Box. But Michelle, I have loved it.
No, Edith, can I look at me? I start to cry. I'm a wall. I never show emotion. I adore you so much. Anytime anybody asks me about this show, I'm like, thank God Edith Bowman is there. You have been such a pleasure. The audience has been incredible, but you are the ultimate professional, sweet person, funny as can be. I see no flaws, and I never say that. So I just want to say a huge thank you for everything you've done for the show and to everyone who listened, because I know that you and I both loved every minute of it.
Yeah, and listen, if you are maybe joining us for this as your first episode, go and listen to the previous episodes, subscribe, be kind and leave us a review. We had so many great guests. Ruth Jones. Who was your favourite?
Brenda Blevin.
Oh my God. Sally Wainwright. Do you remember that? Was way back.
Sally with her cat. How could I possibly forget?
One of the few we got to do it in person side by side, me and McKenna Bruce. That was so much fun. Little pocket rocket. She was so good.
If in America, that has a very different connotation, by the way.
Oh, is it? Okie dokie.
You'll Google that after the show. But no, it's been such a pleasure. And so we want to say a huge thanks to everyone who has listened and supported this show, and also all the great BritBox content, and to everyone at BBC and BritBox. I know the two of us have just been incredibly grateful to be here. Yeah. So a big thank you.
Yeah, I'll hopefully see you for season 2. Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to On the Box, hosted by Edith Bowman and Michelle Collins. The music was by Dario Forzato and Canio Claudio Tristano, courtesy of 411 Music. Research and additional material by Angela Channel. The mix engineer was Arlie Adlington. The production coordinator was Caroline Barlow. The production manager was Katie Borm. The production executive was Ian Hayden. The executive producers for BritBox are Alana McGahey and Diane Robina. And executive producer for BBC Studios is Pete Strauss. The producer was Rajiv Karia. On the Box is a BBC Studios production for BritBox.